There we go. Good evening. Welcome to the Red Clay Consolidated School District Regular Board Meeting for December 17th, 2025. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Stevens, could you please commence with roll call?
Ms. English,
Present.
Mr. Henson,
Present.
Ms. Landis,
Present.
Mr. Matthews.
Present.
Ms. Sander,
Present.
Ms. Tortis,
Present.
Mr. Leonard.
Present.
Quorum
Thank
has been reached.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's board meeting, December 17th, 2025, as submitted?
So moved, Jose Matthews.
No,
Is there a second?
I would like to make a change.
Yes,
So-
we had to.
All
You have
Is it- Yep, we have a second. Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda as submitted. Is there any discussion?
President Leonard,
Yes, Mr. Matt.
I'd like to amend the motion to move the WLC discussion under items submitted by the board to action items, please.
Okay, it's been properly moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Devin Henson.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion?
I just want to add the clarification that that is where it was supposed to be. For the public and the board members, there was a clerical oversight and, it's just to make sure that we make the correction.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion that we remove under items submitted by the board, A, Student Achievement Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda. I'm sorry. Any discussion? I'm sorry.
President Leonard, if I may,
Yes.
can I please ask for rationale, clarification on the motion?
Motion to remove the action item.
Yes, yeah,
items-
just for my
Yes.
awareness.
I would like to have
Yeah.
actually more time to plan better. I need to make a better case.
That's very reasonable.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been properly seconded and any other discussion? That is to
I would
remove,
like to make a motion that we remove the transportation policy.
okay, we need to vote on this one. Do we vote on it? All in favor? of CS
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any other discussion? Devin?
I would like to make a motion that we remove the agenda item for transportation, 5,003.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Najma Landis.
It's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
President Leonard, again, I would just ask for clarification.
Yes. What was that?
Can I receive some clarification?
Clarification, please. Why you would like to change that?
Because what's in here does not reflect what we discuss in committee meetings.
Thank you.
Any particulars on that or?
I have a whole list of particulars. But I think that should suffice.
You wanted to go back to
Is that-
committee?
Is that enough clarification?
You want to go back to committee? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I would like to amend the motion.
Okay,
I would like to amend the motion so that we can submit the transportation policy back to committee for review.
Second, Susan Sander.
we have a second. It's been properly seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. Leonard, that was for the
amendment.
amendment. Sorry.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
mean to be a stickler, but then we have to vote again.
For the
for
amendment
actual motion.
To send it back to committee. Okay, good. Okay.
So now we vote on
Vote on the agenda.
to move it to committee.
Right.
Any other discussion before we vote on the agenda, accepting the agenda with the amendments? Okay, all in favor, of accepting the
Aye.
agenda? Say,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you. Opposed?
Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, we will now have student, staff, and community recognitions presented by Ms. Alva Mobley. Ms. Mobley?
Good evening, Red Clay family and friends. Superintendent Green and President Leonard, please join me in presenting the awards for this month's board recognition. Tonight, we would like to recognize excellence at Red Clay. It is my honor to recognize Heritage Elementary School for its remarkable commitment to inclusion and excellence. Today, we celebrate Heritage being named a National Special Olympics Unified Champion School banner recipient for 24 through 2028. This prestigious honor reflects your school's dedication to fostering a unified community, one where every student feels valued, included, and empowered to succeed. Congratulations to the entire Heritage family. Please come forward to accept your award.
It's a great picture.
Like the,
Congratulations again to Heritage Elementary. Next, we are so excited to recognize our remarkable students at the Charter School of Wilmington. This award is presented in recognition of your outstanding achievement as a member of the Charter School of Wilmington IGEM team, whose innovative work earned a gold medal in the bioremediation category at the International Genetically Engineered Machine IGEM Jamboree in Paris. Please come forward. Through dedication, collaboration, and scientific innovation, these students help bioengineer solutions to address real-world environmental challenges, including the degradation of oil spills. Their work demonstrates exceptional leadership, curiosity, and a strong commitment to excellence in STEM. Yep, come forward.
They might have, maybe maybe they brought in. What was that? Ah, that. That's all.
Let's give our students another round of applause for that great victory. And our final award this evening is one that allows us to honor an extraordinary educator. This award is presented to Nicole Carroll of Stanton Middle School in recognition of her outstanding commitment to excellence in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. Through her exceptional leadership, innovation, and dedication, she has inspired students to think critically, explore boldly, and believe in their own potential. Nicole has earned Delaware's STEM Educator Award for her passion for teaching, commitment to equity and access, and measurable impact on student achievement. Congratulations, Nicole. Please come forward to accept your award. Congratulations, Nicole. Let's give our board recognition recipients another round of applause.
Go home and do your homework.
All right, we now go to our public comment. Thank you. Red Clay School Board appreciates any member of the community who would like to make a public comment. According to Board Policy 2006, the Red Clay School Board allocates 30 minutes to public commentary. Each person may have up to 3 minutes to address the board, and this time may not be transferred to or from another speaker. The board generally does not respond directly to a speaker. The board meeting is not an appropriate forum to raise complaints or concerns about individual employees. Upon request, the superintendent shall provide the speaker with a procedure for submitting such complaints or concerns. The order of the speakers is listed on the screen. As you see your name, please make your way to the seat near the podium, or if you're virtual, unmute when called to respect the time of anyone present tonight. When you speak, please state your name and organization if you're speaking on its behalf, and the topic of your comment. There's a timer on the screen that will turn on when you have 1 minute left. It will turn yellow with 30 seconds left and flash in red when your 3 minutes are over. I would thank you for your comments and call on the next speaker. So let's begin. Our first speaker is
Mr. Ryan Reamer.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Ryan Reamer.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the board, administrators, parents, and teachers. My name is Ryan. I'm a junior at McCain High School. I'm here tonight to speak against the proposal to close McCain as a comprehensive high school and convert it into an innovation center. I appreciate the time that you're taking to listen, because this decision affects not just the building, but generations of students and an entire community. For my underclassmen friends, this decision means that they will never get to say they graduated from McCain High School. They won't be able to compete for McCain sports teams, and some may not graduate with their friends. In the past 3 years, I've watched my peers settle into the school, build connections, and truly grow into the incredible students they've become. For my family, McCain is a legacy. My grandfather and all of his siblings attended McCain. My father went to McCain. My uncle taught here as the automotive teacher, and my brother graduated from McCain, and now I'm a student here. That history matters. I'm speaking to you not just as a student, but as someone deeply involved in the school. I'm the junior class president. I'm a member of the National Honor Society and the student government. I'm captain of the swim team. I also play volleyball and work closely with the unified sports programs, which I am very passionate about. I work with teachers, administrators, and students every day, and I can very confidently say that McCain is full of dedicated staff and motivated students who care about their education and their community. I would also like to mention how 1/3 of our student population is students with disabilities, many of which are my close friends and teammates. We have so many programs and resources for these students, and I worry what may happen to them after the suspending of McCain. Career pathways and innovation programs are important, and I would never deny that. I support expanding opportunities for hands-on learning to other students, but that should not come at the cost of eliminating a fully functioning high school. Closing McCain as a high school sends the message to our students and our families and our community that our history is disposable. I urge you to listen to the voices of the students who walk these hallways every single day and give future students the same chance that I had to learn, to lead, and to graduate proudly from McCain High School. Please take the time to reconsider this decision. I love my school, my teachers, my friends, and the opportunity provided to me, as does the rest of the student body. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan. Our next speaker is Morgan Dukes.
Hi, I'm Morgan Dukes, a McCain alumni, current staff member, and Red Clay community member. The proposed Innovation Center reduces student opportunities and still has not been clearly communicated to the families and the public. McCain serves 40% of all the district's comprehensive high school students, including 44% of our special education population. Yet McCain students' families overwhelmingly are not informed about this plan, and those that are do not support it. District representatives have stated that communication about this plan has been sent out to families. I've spoken to multiple parents of McCain students, and the only communication they received was labeled as secondary programming changes and school choice. However, there's hardly any explanation about what an innovation center really is. The comment that this process has been transparent is disingenuous. Almost 2,500 people, more than double the number of responses to the committee's survey, have signed a petition opposing what they believe is McCain's closure. This does not reflect the informed support that the committee suggested. It reflects widespread confusion, and that confusion is a direct result of how this plan was handled. McCain was not named as the proposed Innovation Center site in the committee's rolling slides until their meeting in May, just one meeting before the committee's final session. The community cannot provide meaningful public comment when they do not know what is being decided or where to find information about it. To even understand the proposal, a person would have needed to already know the committee was planning to do this, have access to the internet to find the committee's website, dig through months of slides, minutes, and recordings to understand what an innovation center is, and then somehow figure out that McCain was the intended target despite the school, staff, families, and students never being notified. I know individuals right now who believe this plan turns McCain into a VOTEC high school. People don't understand what an innovation center is, and that confusion alone proves that this process has not been transparent. At the public meeting at the end of the 24-25 school year, several concerns were raised, and the district is planning committees to address some of those concerns, but parents deserve answers before decisions are made finally, not the year before implementation happens. The implementation date of fall 2027 is not ambitious, it's extremely aggressive. How can families voice concerns about a plan they had not been clearly explained to them? How can students weigh in when they haven't been informed? How can the community support a vision they don't know is being built? Silence is not approval. You've heard the public at meetings, through emails, and through the petition. Their voices should matter. I urge you to pause this plan, engage the community honestly, and ensure that transparency and student opportunity drive your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Our next speaker is Jared Upsfeld, sorry.
Good evening. I'm Brenda Stefan, so I am speaking for Jared, who is celebrating Hanukkah tonight. Excuse me as I just look down because this is the first runner through. And afterwards, I'd like to take a pause just to get a drink of water. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jared Opsfield, Executive Board Member of Friends of AI, a former student and graduate of the Red Clay Consolidated School District, a concerned parent, and an advocate for better education in Newcastle County. Over the past few weeks, I've spoken with neighbors in multiple parts of the district, including families who live right near McCain, and many of them have no idea that there is a plan on the table to convert McCain High School into an innovation center, or to significantly reconfigure our high schools in attendance zones. At the same time, the Reading Consortium is actively considering a redistricting option that will affect all of Newcastle County school districts and students either positively or negatively, depending on the performance or proper research and data collected on community-based needs, current educational deficiencies within our school, student and family support, transportation, and financial impact. That disconnect is alarming. On November 19th, parents and staff came to this very board and testified that outreach around the McCain Innovation Center and related moves was insufficient, pointing out that a key district survey only reached a roughly 3% of families and was open for just 8 days in the summer. They asked for clearer timelines, transportation plans, and enrollment impacts and did not get concrete answers that night. This isn't the first time communication and transparency have been questioned in Young versus Red Clay. The Court of Chancery described how during the 2015 tax referendum, the district's campaign strategy focused on mobilizing likely yes voters while deliberately avoiding outreach to seniors and other residents who might be a no. And a few years ago, this board itself complained to the EPA without delays in informing schools and parents about elevated lead levels in school water, a stark reminder of how dangerous slow or selective information can be. I'm asking you to commit to a proactive, equitable communication by considering the following methods of community outreach and inclusion. One, a clear, plain language website for the McCain Innovation Center and any redistricting proposals with facts, maps, timelines, and translate it to major languages spoken in our community. Send district-wide emails and text messages when big proposals or surveys launch. Mail summaries in every household in affected zones and not just backpack flyers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brenda. We now have Becky Orr on Zoom.
I also have my own too. My own. That was for Jared. This is my own. I have my own as well. I just need to take a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake.
It's okay. Thanks.
All right. Brenda, you may go again.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brenda Stefan, AI High School class of '88 and board member of Friends of AI, a community of alumni originally brought together by our late band director, Paul Peretz, who used the space to help keep us informed and engaged. We continue in that legacy to understand what is happening and to advocate for the students, educators, and families of AI High School who rely on this district. Over the past year, our board has attended A to Z enrollment and school board meetings to listen, ask questions, and stay focused on what our community is experiencing. While we do not speak for McCain or Dickinson alumni, we stand in solidarity with their calls for greater transparency. As Friends of AI, our role is to press for the clarity and accountability these decisions require. AI high school enrollment continues to decline as several district buildings need significant and more efficient upkeep. At the same time, the district is launching the McCain Innovation Center, a major structural shift that raises important questions about transportation, staffing, resource distribution, and long-term sustainability. We are not opposing new pathways for students, but these questions must be answered clearly for this plan to be put into action district-wide. Families need to understand how these changes will work in practice. These decisions overlap with other dynamic changes, most recently the Reading Consortium's decision for one Northern Delaware School District in review handling 45,000 students. Across the district, families tell us that they are not receiving consistent communication about any of this. Some learned of major proposals only through social media or word of mouth and not through the district. When communication breaks down, the meaningful participation from the community becomes impossible. Our request tonight is direct. First, provide quarterly public updates with clear information on major proposals, financial implications, resource shifts, and expected student impact. Families need one reliable point of reference, not short window surveys or hard to find documents. Second, strengthen how information is delivered. Families across Wilmington, Hockessin, Newark, and Pike Creek are not receiving timely updates. Effective communication requires repeated outreach, multilingual and ASL access, digital and print, materials, and in-person sessions that match community schedules. If the district wants meaningful input, it must make participation at multiple entry points possible. Friends of AI will continue to show up. We expect a district that will meet this moment with the commitment, clarity, and responsibility these decisions require. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Brenda. Okay, now we'll go to Becky Orr on Zoom. If you would unmute, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight. I do also want to come here and just ask for a stop or a slowdown for the proposed McCain Innovation Center. I believe there needs to be greater transparency, communication, and community involvement regarding the Innovation Center and the changes that may be connected to it. Many parents, teachers, and students are still very unclear on how this plan will be implemented, what the timeline truly looks like, how and why decisions are being made. A lot of parents don't even know anything about it. I think if more knew, there'd be more people speaking tonight. It has not been broadcast, like people have said, to current McCain or Red Clay parents or students at all, or in a clear, open way. Current students and staff at McCain, they're in a particularly difficult position. They're going to be asked to make choices, or choices are going to just be made for them that affect friendships, trusted teachers, and established support systems. These aren't small decisions, especially for students who rely on stability and routine to succeed. Transportation is another major concern. Just regular bus systems to and from school, we all know, is already a challenge, let alone adding transportation in the middle of the day for regular students and special ed students. Also, what about students that are in sports, band, best buddies, etc.? They have a sense of community with them, with their groups. What are they going to do when they have to choose a school to go to, or they just get put into a school in their senior year? Do they go with the one teacher they like or the other teacher they like? Do they even have a choice? Where are their friends going to go? McCain's a really strong school with a very proud community. And right now we feel that changes are happening to us rather than with us. And that sense of losing community, it's painful. This really deserves attention. I respectfully ask the district to stop, or at least really slow this process down, to ensure meaningful transparency, open forums for parents and teachers, clear communication for students and staff who are directly affected. Awareness and voice do matter, not after the decisions are finalized by someone that's not even in the school building, but while they're still being worked on. Red Clay, you know, they say their goal is student success, but I don't believe that the Innovation Center is the answer to this goal. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. All right. We now have Helen Anderson.
Hi, good evening. My name is Helen Anderson. I am standing here tonight as the chairperson of the Wilmington Learning Collaborative. Earlier today, just at the start of this meeting, it was determined that there's going to be board action taken on the MOU, and I'm here to express my strong concern for that board action. Regarding removing yourselves from the Wilmington Learning Collaborative cross collaboration that we have. The WLC was created to address a longstanding inequities, shared challenges, and overlapping responsibilities across districts that serve Wilmington students. The MOU represents a commitment to collaboration, transparency, and shared accountability in serving children who often move between districts and systems. Walking away from that commitment sends the wrong message to families, educators, community partners who rely on coordinated efforts rather than fragmented ones. Withdrawal from the MOU does not eliminate the challenges we face. It simply shifts the burden back onto the students, families, the educators in those buildings, and the community. Red Clay benefits from shared planning, data coordination, and collective problem solving, and additionally funding for summer programming, staffing, and other innovative ideas that have been produced in those buildings in Wilmington. Leaving this agreement risks undermining progress and weakening trust with partner districts and the broader community. If there are concerns with the MOU or the functioning of the WLC, the responsible course of action would have been to address those concerns collaboratively through revision and dialogue, not withdrawal. Leadership requires staying at the table, especially when the work is difficult. I urge the board to reconsider any decisions that you have to remove the red clay from the MOU with the Wilmington Learning Collaborative and instead recommit to improving the partnership in a way that centers students' equity and regional responsibility. We're all here to be partners, not to be adversarial, especially with what has happened with the Wilmington Learning Collaborative. I'm sorry, what has happened with the Writing Consortium. Any focus that removes attention off of our Wilmington students is unacceptable for me as a Wilmingtonian. As I have stood in all of these rooms and as will continue to do, I'm here fighting for Wilmington children because clearly we are not getting what we deserve nor are required to get from these districts. And so there is a reason why this MOU is here. And any conversation to remove us and is irresponsible of you all. So I'll just leave it at that. You all have a good evening.
Thank you, Helen. Now, Miss Jenny Howard.
Hi, good evening. I look forward to hearing about the MOU because this is the first I'm hearing that we're pulling out. But I'm here tonight because it's become evident that the district is prioritizing cost over student safety. For example, we still have a walking route where a child was killed, and to this day, kids are still required to walk that same route in order to get to school. The district recently gave an example of a kid walking on a notoriously dangerous road and framed that situation as a parent's choice. That child was walking to a hub bus stop, which is a direct result of how the district structures school choice and transportation. I've also been advocating for door-side stops for quite a while. Every day, students cross busy roads to board buses because the district claims door-side stops are too expensive. A traffic ticket issued to a reckless driver won't save a kid's life, but a door-side stop would. And there's no transparent system for reporting these hazards. The common denominator is the budget. Hub stops, limited routes, and skipped safety reviews save money by shifting physical risk onto our kids. And when you think about cost savings, please remember James Messick. He was 10 years old, crossing a notoriously dangerous road that elementary students still cross to this very day. Walking routes, bus stop placement, and transportation eligibility should be reviewed through a safety lens first and foremost, not a budget lens. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And now Hadrian Sissel.
Good evening. I'm covering some of the same stuff that Jenny said, but I'm addressing issues with the draft of policy 5003, which is the transportation policy, which was on the agenda to be voted on. I'm grateful the vote on it was tabled because honestly, I was overwhelmed by everything wrong with the current draft of this policy. But I'm going to highlight a few of the most glaring issues. Full disclosure, I'm actually on the policy committee as a community member representing nominating District E. But after the policy committee met on December 3rd, there were things that were added and things that were taken out of the committee's version of the draft. One of the additions was a bullet point that creates a loophole to deny transportation to disabled students by illegally making their access to transportation to school conditional. A notable deletion from the committee's revisions was the ability of parents to appeal the superintendent's transportation eligibility decisions to the school board. As a parent myself, I think it's important in the interest of full transparency for parents to know that they have the right to appeal the superintendent's transportation decisions. But the most concerning issue with this draft is that it prioritizes cost and efficiency over student safety, and that's really fucked up. Just last year, a boy at my daughter's school was struck by a car and killed while walking home from school. I don't want to lose any more kids that way. I want kids to be safe walking to and from school. I want kids to be safe being picked up and dropped off off by their school buses. But right now we have a choice hub bus stops that are literally in intersections, which not only is in violation of state law, but actively endangers students. When the transportation department attended the policy meeting at the end of October, they told the story of a boy who had to walk along Mill Creek Road to get to his hub bus stop. And if you know Mill Creek Road, you know it has zero shoulder, making it highly unsafe to walk along, especially for a child. The transportation department said they received numerous calls from citizens concerned about the student's safety, but they excused their decision to have him walk along such a dangerous road by saying that the child's parent made that choice, which is absolutely ridiculous, because that's not even a choice a parent should have had to make. But it is a prime example of the district prioritizing cost over safety. They refused to offer him a doorside stop because it would cost too much, but all those adults knew his life was in danger every day, and yet they did nothing. Please, all parents want is a transportation policy that's equitable, transparent, and prioritizes the safety of students. I don't think that's too much to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadrian. Now, Mr. Steve Fackenthal.
Good evening, Board. My name is Stephen Fackenthal, General Music Teacher at Ritchie Elementary and proud President of the Red Clay Education Association. I'm here tonight to speak about the McCain Innovation Center. First off, I'd like to begin by thanking the district and Mr. Pruitt for offering to meet with any staff who have questions or concerns about the programming changes. I continue to push this opportunity to buildings. I also appreciate the work that has gone into collaborating with RCA on processes for staff movement. Those efforts matter and have been noticed. All that said, I do want to emphasize an area that still needs attention: staff buy-in. While processes and timelines are important, the long-term success of any program depends on the people implementing it, believing in the vision, and understanding the value of the change. At this point, I do not believe that has happened. I encourage district to focus intentionally on building that trust and shared understanding, because the success of these programming changes will ultimately be determined not just by how well they are planned, but how strongly the people doing the work believe in them. I'd like to remind the board of a similar situation about 10 years ago when the district, with board approval, decided to close Richardson Park Learning Center and Central School. Schools that were amazing at supporting students with special needs and dedicated resources to support those students. The district doubled down that resources would follow the students. Staff, including me at the time, continued to ask how those resources would follow, as you couldn't split people. Needless to say, the schools closed, and I would say we have never fully replicated the success of those programs. We should learn from our mistakes and do it better. This needs to happen with staff. With efficacy, you'll get the buy-in and support to make these changes successful. And, as you know, our working conditions are our students' learning conditions. I appreciate your time and happy holidays.
Thank you, Steve. And our final. Two more. Oh, so I'm sorry. Sean Orr on Zoom. If you would unmute, please. Sean, are you there?
Yes. Thank you, district leadership and board, for providing us this opportunity. I would like to talk today about the Innovation Center, and particularly ask the board to strongly consider the long-term effects of their actions. But I'm going to focus primarily on individuals with disabilities and transportation of those individuals during the midday. So While transportation may seem like a small part of the school day, for many of our students, particularly those with disabilities, these transitions can be one of the most challenging moments they face. Many special education students rely on routine and predictability to feel safe and ready to learn. Midday bus rides, such as the ones required for student access to the Innovation Center, disrupt that routine. These interruptions can cause anxiety, sensory overload, and behavioral challenges, especially for students with emotional and behavioral or sensory needs. The effects of these transitions don't stop when the bus ride ends. Students often return to class dysregulated, leading to lost instructional time and difficulty re-engaging in learning. Even short disruptions can have a lasting impact on a student's ability to meet their educational goals. Transportation services are important, and transportation by all means is necessary. However, it is our responsibility to ensure these transitions are as supportive as possible. Better scheduling, consistent drivers or aides, clear communication, and intentional transition supports can make a meaningful difference for students with disabilities and students without disabilities. All things considered, there is no guarantee that all of those supports will be consistently available for students with disabilities. And if they were able to be provided consistently, it still begs the question, why subject the most vulnerable population of students to that disruption in lieu of alternative solutions? Given the unpredictability of those independent factors, it is probable that students with special needs may not have access to vital parts of their educational experience. When we plan with empathy and purpose, we reduce stress, protect instructional time, and create a more inclusive environment for our students, which was Red Clay's push for including students into McCain and other comprehensive schools. Addressing midday bus transitions is not just a logistical issue, it's an opportunity to better support the whole child, including children with special needs and the most vulnerable population. Thank you for your time and your commitment to all students.
Thank you, Sean. And our final addressee is Andrew Cleaver. Andrew?
Good evening, board. Can you hear me pretty clear?
Just speaking to the mic a little closer, Mr. Cleaver. Thank you. That's fine. Pull it off.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Evening, board. From what I'm hearing and everything going on here, we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about costs, stuff like that as well. What about financial transparency here of what's going on? Back on December 1st, when I was here, the biggest question you guys were asking about all this Reading Consortium was the data for finances and stuff. And the transparency the school board should be liable for here, because I brought up a subject back on December 1st, where we talked about the grading system, Infinite Campus, and also the progress book because of my son and what we experienced. Today, we actually learned, his mother and I called a special meeting to figure out what was going on. And one thing that was discovered by a state rep, that the Infinite Campus and all this isn't working. What I'm asking for is transparency. So we found out today that there's actually a pilot program that we didn't realize what was going on for the building-based autism class, that there's no spelling words coming home, nothing like this. What I think people are asking for is transparency, even in the facilities and buildings and maintenance, because back on December 2nd, there was another Reading Consortium held for the special education over right here at this school. And didn't say which one or what building, but apparently one building, I don't know what district, but the elevator was not working. And a student in a wheelchair, there's a few people here that heard this, the child had to be carried up and down the stairs. Now, 1, that's an ADA violation. 2, that's a fire violation. 3, that's a civil rights violation. I believe what people are asking for here is transparency. With the Innovation Center, people want to know what's going on. And it's like there's a clear understanding of another transparency. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, 3600 Mill Creek Road. What do you guys have planned for that? Because it was bought by the state of Delaware for $4.3 million and then transferred to Red Clay Consolidated School District. Where's the transparency? Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay. We now have the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the executive session on November 19th, 2025?
So moved, Jose Matthews.
Second, Susan Sander.
We have a second. It's properly moved and seconded. Approve the minutes from November 19th. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Yep. One abstain.
Naj Malandis abstain.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the regular session on November 19th, 2025?
So moved, Jose Matthews.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. All right, presentations. We have Dr. Rumal with a presentation.
Good evening. We have 3 policies that are under review this evening for our first reading. Policies 2002, 2006, and 2009. I'll also give a brief summary of our December 3rd, 2025 Board Policy Review Committee meeting. That evening, we met to discuss 5003, the transportation policy. Adjustments were made, but we'll have further conversation when we meet at Board Policy again in January. Policy 2002 is board powers and duties. Added a statement that the superintendent evaluation is one of the main duties of the board, with the details on the process in policy 2009, board superintendent relationship. Policy 2006 addressed communications and presentations to the board. We added that the board email addresses are available on the district website and that board and district staff will respond to all communications in a reasonable time frame and strive to respond within 3 business days. Policy 2009 is the board superintendent relationship. We added the sequence of steps the board will follow for the superintendent evaluation process. Added a statement, the superintendent shall provide a full record of events, including all evidence required and documentation available regarding dismissals, settlements, agreements, or other major board actions while respecting confidentiality of these matters in executive session. Then we reworded a section regarding the superintendent shall provide board members with information about any particular area of district operations upon request to ensure full transparency, unless the request involves significant staff time, requests that entail compilation material not readily available, or significant staff time shall require board approval. Requests will be answered in a reasonable time frame agreed upon by the board and the superintendent. Our next steps is the policies will be posted on the Board Policy Review Committee page. They'll also be sent to all committee members tomorrow. January 7th, we have a Board Policy Review Committee meeting at 5 p.m. in district office. January 21st would be a second reading to the board, and if approved, they will be posted the next day.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Brumal. All right, I think we have another presentation.
You have it listed as an action item.
Superintendent's report.
Yeah, it's the student.
We're on superintendent.
So good evening, everyone. We're at the point of the agenda where we are here to welcome one of our student representatives. We have Sahasra Mudaniri, senior from the Charter School of Wilmington, here to present. I also want to, President Bartnick is also here, so welcome, sir. Just again, for those that don't know, we have student reps from all of our high schools. Last month, it was Delaware Military Academy. This month, it's the Charter School of Wilmington, and in subsequent months, obviously, we'll have our traditional Red Clay non-charter school student reps here presenting.
So Sahasra, the stage is yours to turn it over to share all of the positive things that are happening within the Red Clay community, but more importantly at the Charter School of Wilmington.
So, I hope everyone is having a great week. And my name is Sahasra, and I'm a student at the Charter School of Wilmington, and I currently serve as a student body president.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt your presentation. Just speak right into the mic for the people down here.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
today I would like to share highlights from recent student events that I helped organize, as well as what students are looking forward to in the coming months. Oh, shoot. So this fall, I led planning and execution of Fall Fest and Senior Sunrise was led by the senior committee. So these events were created to bring students together at the start of the year and help build a strong sense of community in our school. So for example, Fall Fest included games, food, and activities for students across all grades and all grade levels, while Senior Sunrise allowed seniors to begin their final year together in a meaningful way by sharing breakfast and taking pictures. And then next, my team and I organized Spirit Week. So this included theme days, pep rally, homecoming games, and the homecoming dance. So Spirit Week encouraged school pride and gave students opportunities to connect outside of the classroom. And an important tradition at Charter is grade hallways. So people from each grade get together and decorate their hallway a certain theme, and the faculty will go around and vote for the winners. So the scores are released at the pep rally, and it's just a great way to work together, socialize, and just show school spirit. Next, during homecoming week, we organized Under the Lights. Thank you to Dr. Bartnick. Events by bringing professional lighting for each game. So this allowed multiple games to be played at night for field hockey, soccer, and football, creating a more exciting and inclusive experience for students, families, and staff. So coordinating the lighting required advanced planning, collaboration, and it significantly increased student attendance and school spirit throughout the week. So these events overall just helped elevate homecoming week and strengthen community engagement and our athletic program. So next is homecoming, where the events throughout the week and the dance were well attended, I'd say, and allowed students from all grade levels to come together and celebrate school spirit by dancing, taking pictures, socializing, and singing along. So as you guys saw already, this slide highlights the impact of our iGEM program, the national attention it has received. iGEM is an international research-based competition where students design original biology research to solve real-world problems, and our team earned a gold medal in the bioremediation category using biology to address environmental spills and contamination. So earlier this year, 60 Minutes featured an iGEM team from Georgia, showcasing the level of research students are conducting through this competition. And there are only 13 teams in the United States that competed internationally at the iGEM conference in Paris. Meanwhile, hundreds of teams from Asia compete as well, and Charter was one of them. So it's just great seeing our team. So next is Choice Open House. So this year's Choice Open House was truly something special for Charter. We welcomed over 1,300 families, making it the largest open house in school's history, which is amazing. From the moment families entered the gym, there was a strong sense of excitement and momentum throughout the building. Families experienced CSW through student-led tours that moved throughout the entire school. Each tour stopped in every department where teachers and students were actively presenting, demonstrating learning, and showcasing what students engage in everyday life. And then here is our senior social. The senior social was another important event this year, and it included dinner, games, trivia, and senior superlatives. So this event just gave seniors an opportunity to celebrate together and creating lasting memories as we approach graduation, and it's our last semester too. So next, Frostbites is one of our winter fundraising events, and it's paired with winter door decorating contests to encourage creativity and participation across the school. And this year, the funds raised through Frostbites, along with the proceeds from Rosgrams that occurs in February, are being donated to Sean's House. So Sean's House representatives also visited our school and spoke with students during assembly. So they shared their mission and educated the community about the resources that they provide, and just connecting the fundraiser to an in-school presentation just helps students better understand the impact of their efforts and the importance of supporting mental health initiatives within our community. So this Friday, STEM continues to be a major focus at Charter. So sophomore STEM presentations allow students to present their work and receive peer feedback, while the annual CSW Science Fair features judges from the STEM fields and is open to the public. So winners advance the Newcastle County Science Fair, highlighting the student innovation and research. So just looking ahead, students are excited for winter, spring sports, freshman postcards, rosograms in February, prom, teacher appreciation week, excuse me, midterms, AP exams, and graduation. And these events just continue to support student well-being, school spirit, and just community involvement overall. Thank you.
Excellent job. Has senioritis kicked in yet?
Kind of.
Any questions from the board?
President Leonard. Jose Matthews. Can you answer? I thank you so much for your presentation. I just want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Ms. Mudanuri?
Miss Mudanuri, yes.
Thank you so much. We greatly, I always have to ask, it's something I usually ask every student rep, what your plans are after high school, if you would mind sharing. We
Yeah.
always love to hear.
So I want to become a physician assistant. So I've been exploring like the accelerated tracks, and they have the dual degree programs, the BSM-SPA programs, and I applied to 5 and have already gone into 3. So I'm applying. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Great job.
Very proud.
Thanks, Dr. Barkin, again for being here. So just heading into my report, obviously we started the week with a 2-hour delay. I know many of us would have wished for the snow to actually happen on Monday, but it came on a Sunday and stopped by 1 o'clock. But through it all, I want to thank all of our facilities, custodial staff. Again, this was a challenge in that I learned something new, that the ice melt, when it's around 20 degrees, does not work effectively. So what they immediately went out and spent Sunday evening clearing, refroze. And so we're thankful again for their efforts, but glad everyone was safe and that we were able to get a 2-hour delay. Here we find ourselves at the board meeting this evening. Winter at Red Clay, we want to celebrate all of our student arts and performances. So throughout the month of December, January, February, our students will showcase their gifts through various concerts, art exhibits, and creative performances. So please check out our website and social media pages for that information. Winter sports are upon us. To all of our student athletes, coaches, athletic directors, both at the middle and high school level. So we're in full spring with winter sports. So please, again, support our student athletes, support our coaches, support our schools by going out, catching an athletic program. And to our student athletes, we want to appreciate them for their diligence, hard work, and effort in balancing both academics and athletics. 2 things, one not pictured, actually a couple of things, but one wasn't pictured. We just came off the heels of the Theory of Knowledge exhibition at the John Dickinson School. So we had the opportunity to see senior presentations for those students who are in the International Baccalaureate program. And they took an interesting twist this year where they actually had to take 3 artifacts and determine basically how is knowledge acquired through those artifacts. And it was interesting just to see the deep learning and facilitation of learning that our students are gathering through that process. And kudos to Ms. Short and the other staff members over at John Dickinson School who help our scholars facilitate that. We're in the process of going through world language instructional rounds. So within our strategic plan, and we're working towards student growth, success, and equitable outcomes. And so the Red Clay, we recently hosted the first world language instructional rounds at Conrad Schools of Science. The rounds provided opportunity for both world language educators, administrators from across the secondary schools, and the Delaware Department of Education cadre to engage in rich professional conversations about world language and core practices. We've also, as the professional development opportunity, this is the 3rd consecutive year that we are participating in the Early Literacy Leadership Academy, affectionately known as ELLA. It's our largest cohort to date. The cohort includes 4 elementary building leaders, 2 district leaders, and the state-sponsored early literacy coach. And through this year-long Science of Reading Aligned Leadership Academy, leaders deepen their understanding of instructional coherence, data-informed decision-making and the leadership practices necessary to sustain high-quality literacy instruction. And for those that know, this is coming off the heels of HB 304, which is the science of reading legislation that, again, requires us to really take that literacy approach. So we're trying to, again, streamline and make that a systemic process throughout Red Clay. Reimagining secondary education, and I know there was a call for more transparency. And one of the things was a dedicated website. So we will be launching. It will go live as a dedicated web page to learn more about Red Clay's plan to expand access to CTE pathways through the McCain Innovation Center, industry recognized credentials, early college credit, and hands-on innovation experiences at the Thomas McCain Innovation Campus. And again, I will publicly say this to the board, and we've heard a number of public commenters. We have really one time upon us to get it right. And, whatever the board's desire is, and collectively as a community for us to get it right, I sit here as a superintendent, putting it out there that, whatever we need to do to make sure that happens. There was a vote last evening with the Reading Consortium to look at moving forward with an option of a Newcastle County consolidated school district. Now, regardless of whatever happens with Reading, we're still responsible for the students who are under our charge and our care, including our staff members as well. And if we need to go slow to go fast, the reality of it is we're competing with ourselves in Red Clay. And we've highlighted that through the attendance zone committee reports. We've looked at 20-year data analysis. We have a middle school that for 50 years has served anywhere from 700 to 750 students that's now sitting at 381. We're the microcosm of choice and charter in terms of how we've really taken our student enrollment and expanded opportunities. However, the overall enrollment hasn't grown in our district. And so we are at a tipping point where we have to do something, and collectively, however we do that with the committee, status quo just isn't going to get it. So we have to figure out what that change is and really truly provide more opportunities for students and have a clear vision. And if that means, again, we got to do our due diligence to communicate that more broadly, we stand at the ready to do so. But one or two things are going to happen. Either change is going to happen for us or it's going to happen to us. And so however we can collectively work together with our community to ensure that we are making clear-eyed change, but also not allowing legacy and history to anchor us in the past and allow our stuff to move forward so that our students of today have opportunities. Our communities we're not the chemical, we're not the credit card, we're not the corporate capital of the world, we're not the car. So a high school diploma of just simply getting a diploma and getting a job and going into an industry within Delaware, that period is long gone. So it does require innovation. It requires integration. It requires some hard decisions that have to be made, but we have to be clear-eyed about what does this mean for the learner of today and future learners of tomorrow. And, going through that Reading process, clearly seeing that people made decisions, and even in Red Clay made decisions in a moment in time. Mr. Fackenthal just alluded to what this building used to mean to so many, and that decision in 2010, so much of what we're doing is because of previous decisions that were made, right? Making ourselves competitive within the district, prioritizing within the district to the point that we've cannibalized enrollment within the district, and being clear-eyed about when certain schools were at their peak, it was at the expense of other Red Clay schools. So we have to be clear-eyed about what we're talking about and how we're talking about it. And unfortunately, a lot of that wasn't known. And so we, again, have to focus on that, but we will have an active website that will go live tomorrow to provide updated information. We'll work with our comms department. We'll continue to engage with the McCain staff and others as we continue to move through this process. And ultimately, whatever the decision that the board makes, we'll work and address accordingly. School choice, ironically enough, is upon us. And, we know that families right now, I'm hearing it in the community as they put in their options, really trying to figure out what the desirable option is for their child. So, that window closes January 14th. It officially opened on November the 3rd. So we do ask you to choose Red Clay. If you have direct concerns, feel free to call 302-552-3789, which is our choice office. They're there to help you. And at this point, I would like to have Mr. Pruitt and Ms. Mobley come down to the podium. Within my presentation, as the board knows, the board charged us with having the restructuring review committee that was a part of the communication that is needed for what we've been discussing around repurposing the high school. Just some data in terms of interest forms submitted by nominating district. We followed the same process of the original committee. Information went out to the community. Families within those various nominating districts could put in their interests. And so in District A, we had 4 individuals put in. District District B, there were 10. District C, 8 during that time period. And it closed December 5th. District D was 10. District E, 5. District F had 24 representatives, and District G had 18. And so we will need 3, because again, this is a ad hoc board committee. So the board will have to determine what 3 board representatives will be a part of that. But similarly, how we established the other committee during so District A, so who's the representative, or are you comfortable with Ms. Mobley pulling those candidates? So Ms. Mobley will, I can't hear you, Ms. Brooks.
That was our plan. That
Okay.
Ms. Mobley pull it.
So
Yep.
they will have District A folder. They're going to pull both a first name selected for the committee member in a randomized way, as well as an alternate for representatives who put in their names for that particular committee.
About that to ask questions.
If you would like to. Can you speak into the mic?
Just speak right into the mic.
Turned it off. I'm sorry. I'm chewing my gum. So but what I think I heard from the community is that there wasn't enough transparency, right? And it sounds like the way that we scheduled this was to do it this way. So it wouldn't make sense to repeat the same thing that we did last time and expect a different result this time. You
So
understand
we're
what I'm
not,
saying?
well, this is selecting community representatives
Right,
who
and-
express interest in participating in the committee that the board established.
Right, and I think that is where the challenge comes in, because there could be people that are in that envelope that wanted to participate, right? And because they weren't selected, they weren't able to.
They can still participate, they just wouldn't be committee members because the board has a framework in terms of the number of people that serve on a committee.
Right, but it sounds like it's structured in a way that they come and they speak at the mic. They're not really participants.
No,
Just
it's a
comment.
committee. This isn't, so this is
they-
selecting members to serve on a committee. So they're selecting public names
Mhm,
of people who express interest
mhm.
in serving in a formal capacity on a board committee. So they're selecting 2 people and individuals
Mhm.
from each of your respective nominating districts. And then those whose names aren't selected, who express interest, will still have the ability, but they're just not formal committee members because the committee itself has a member from each nominating district, which is the framework for a board committee.
I guess my point is every other committee, they're not really participants. They're commenters. Like they're not able to just come sit at the table and be included in the conversations and the decision making. Right? Like most of them are where you have a chair, you have people that are there that are involved, the people that are voting members, and everybody else can just make a comment, but they can't really give their input. There's really not a substantive way for them to be included.
May I interject a point of order at this point?
Okay.
When we established this committee, attendance zone restructuring committee, it was always meant to be a listening session for the public. It was never meant to be an interactive. Our job as a board is to oversee the planning of the Innovation Center. We have now given it to the district and said, plan it to the best of your abilities and keep us informed every step of the way. This review committee is how we are doing that. This committee is open to the public. These meetings will not be in private. They will be on Zoom, open to the public. These are the representatives from these districts who will then hear the information about the plans and have the ability to take it back to their community, back to their schools, back to the parents who are saying they're not informed. Now we're giving them one more communication method.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're okay with it just being a listening session for the
Yes.
community. So what I'm making clear is that as a board member, I think that that's fundamentally unfair for the community to be locked out and just be able to listen and not be included in the conversation. That's it. So if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But I'm just telling you, my perspective is, I just don't think that's fair.
Shanika Lopez.
So Shanika Lopez will be the first for the member, and then we're gonna pull a second name.
Robin Garnett.
So for District A, we have Ms. Shanika Lopez and Robin Garnett.
Allison Hunter.
District B, first representative, you said Allison Hunter.
Yes. Zulima Lopez Rosa.
Zulema Lopez Rosa is the second, which would be the alternate for District B. District C,
Mamta Gupta.
Mamsa Gupta, District C, first name,
Mamta. Carolyn Hamilton.
Carolyn Hamilton, District C. District D,
David Hogan.
Mr. Hogan will be a representative for District D.
John Garcia.
John Garcia, alternate for District D. District E,
Georgia Matulas.
you said Georgia Matulis. Second for District E,
Julie Derby.
Julie Derby, District E. District F,
Doreen Wychakov.
Ms.
Doreen.
Ms. Doreen, I can't see what you're seeing, so I'll just reference it as Ms. Doreen.
Yes.
Beth Jefferson has a list and is checking them off
Yeah.
with an A.
And we'll follow up with those community members tomorrow.
Barbara Matos.
Barbara Matos, and then final, District G.
Stephanie DeLucia.
Stephanie DeLugio,
Adam Zaloga.
Mr. Adam Zaloga. So Ms. Jefferson has those names. We will follow up with those representative community members to ensure that they still have interest. If the first name called in that particular zone doesn't, it goes to the alternate. And at this point, we need the board to determine which of the 3 board members would like to participate. Not everyone raise your hand at once.
I'm sorry.
So we are asking for board members now.
So for your committee and
For
for
the committee,
the-
yeah, I'm sorry.
there are 3 board representatives who will participate in that. And so now we have to determine which of the 3 board members would like to participate, have the time and the availability to serve on the committee.
I would like to put my hat in the ring since I've been with it from the
To serve
beginning.
on the committee for
On
that.
this.
Well, absolutely. I wanna
So-
serve on that.
I'd
Okay.
like to put my name in too.
So there-
I would as well.
So we have 4 board members who put their name in.
Do we duke it out?
Well, I don't want you to duke it out. And
Wrestling. Okay.
and again, I think because they're a public meeting, just being mindful, these meetings will be noticed. And so if you have 3 active members serving, it does not prohibit, from a previous ruling that we had, for other board members to engage as participants, but the 4th would not, in essence, actively engage. So if you have 3,
And an alternate.
or, well, if you want an alternate, you can have an but again, it just really takes 3 of you or 4 of you, simply put it in there. Now, if you want to,
So, hold on.
I do not know how to resolve.
Well,
it.
No,
I-
for-
no.
we just sign up. There's,
So somebody just has to
My challenge is
Somebody has to step out.
if you're of the
Yeah, well,
opinion that
it
you
would-
think that that's just a reporting
Because they
committee,
all goes all
why would you want to participate?
Devin, I can't hear you.
Wait,
I'm having a hard.
what I'm saying is if you're of the opinion that that's just like a reporting committee, then why would you want to actively participate? Just wait for the report. Right? Like let other people that believe that the committee should be developed as a way of engagement and parent and family engagement and inclusion. Right? Like if you're of the opinion that that shouldn't take place in that committee, just wait for us to come and report to you what happened in that committee.
Once again,
That
as
would
a
make
point of
sense. That would be
order,
logical.
The idea of the committee was to be a listening session. There
I mean, I
will be
understand.
no input, and that was clearly stated. There will be no input. These are listening sessions.
Right, and I appreciate that, but what I'm saying is if that's your stance,
Yeah.
I don't understand what would make you want to actively participate in a
I'm
committee
sorry.
that was only
That
designed.
question is not making any sense. I'm sorry.
Maybe somebody can ask it another way. Jose, can you ask it a different way?
So, goodness, I don't know if I can rephrase your words. Essentially, I think what's being asked is why do we have board participation when ultimately the board ends up receiving the reports and approving the outcome anyway? Is that correct?
Correct. Especially if
So I
you're of
guess
the
the
opinion
proposal
that
would
that's the
be-
appropriate approach.
So the proposal would be for the board members to step back. Correct?
If you're of that opinion.
No,
because-
no, yeah, I'm just asking. Is that what you're?
Yes.
Of any
Yeah, yeah.
opinion, that was the stated purpose. I apologize. Point
Don't
of
worry,
order.
no.
Point of order. That is the stated purpose. It is not my opinion. It is simply the charge that we were given as a board for this committee. It is not my opinion. It is what this committee was intended to do. A listening session, we need to hear from the experts. We need to hear the district and how the plans are going to proceed. Pure and simple.
Sounds like we need to figure out who's gonna be on the committee. It's not-
Right.
I'd like to say that I'm on no committees yet, so I'd like to be a part of one.
So in fairness to Ms. Landis, I think she should have the first selection. And again, that's, I only, as the executive secretary, advise the board. And I will say,
I agree.
hearing the discussion, please know that we did give an alternate proposal to actually have a work group that would have, I think, done 2 things. Really engaged folks as an advisory, and serving that process, but we find ourselves where we are right now, and that we have it as a structured board committee, so it's gonna, in essence, require 3 board members to serve in an official capacity. So Ms. Landis is 1. Now you need 2 others.
I'm in.
I'm putting my name in. I
So to be us 3.
So can we agree, Mr. Leonard? I know you were the 4th. Are you willing to take 1 for the team? Because you will be informed and actively engaged to allow Ms. Landis, Ms. Sanders, and Mr. Henson to serve in the board capacity.
Thank you.
That's very noble of you, Mr. Leonard. Thank you, members of the board. So we have that established, and are we okay with moving forward?
Yes.
Go forward. Okay, we have,
And I know it's an agenda item, so again, I will just be remiss, as I do monthly, the next WLC council meeting, where we do host them in Red Clay, will be January 26th. And just for those that I know, thank you to our educators, our school leaders, staff. The proverbial wall is here as we look to get to winter break. And so thank you to our teachers, our support staff, secretaries, all of our employee groups, school nutrition, transportation staff, tech department, for all you've been doing, the late evenings that you spend out with us to get us to this point in the school year. I know everyone is looking for a well-deserved break, but wishing everyone a happy holidays as we go into our winter break. Schools are closed December 22nd through January 2nd. We resume school back on January the 5th. And again, wishing everyone a happy, prosperous holiday. Enjoy, rest up, relax, recharge, come back in 2026 ready to go. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
President, I had a remark.
Yes.
No, I just wanted to, and Dr. Green, thank you for your report. You opened up your presentation with the snow day, and I really want to commend, our decision to remain open. I saw a lot of students walking to Shortledge and a lot of our students walking to Warner. I've been in the city those mornings and listening to the parents and engaging with members of our community, some of which my family. And it's definitely a reminder of some of the hard decisions that we have to make as a district, and that you, I should say, have to make as the leader of our district, but as your team as well, and really prioritizing that kids get to school and that they do it safely where they need to be. It was a tough decision because I can tell you that the conditions of the ice, of the city, I slipped, and I mean that is a really difficult decision to make, but again, prioritizing, making sure that, our kids have heat, our kids have meals, that they have a warm and welcoming environment. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. So thank you.
I think I didn't know if you were blaming me because you fell on the ice. I was starting to feel it.
Yeah.
Something. No, and I do.
There's risk. There's a
No,
risk, and
and-
it's a tough decision. Just don't walk the way I do. I walk pretty briskly.
No, and again, I think through our facilities department, there's never an easy decision. I mean, sometimes there is, and when it's an easy decision, when we know we want it 6 or 7 inches, school day, but we cover a large geography, and so when you talk about what that looks like, it looks different through various municipalities that we serve, right? Whether that's does Newport look versus, Canby versus Hockessin versus Pike Creek versus Stanton. I mean, so we have a large geography that we cover, and we don't take it lightly. I mean, thank you for the acknowledgement, but that's a whole inner working behind the scenes, and we do it collaboratively I do with Newcastle County school districts as well, because we know, there are staff members that live in neighboring districts. And if one district decides to close, so there's a lot that goes into it, but I appreciate the acknowledgement. But, for me, while it may be a tough decision, I also know that we're calling custodians, we're calling facility staff members to actually come out in those conditions and deal with the building. So they're really the ones that, need the acknowledgement, but I appreciate it.
I was still trying to figure out what you thought the science was behind salt and water, and the temperature freezing.
He sent it, Mr. Leonard, the science guy.
Do you think what never freeze? Is that what it was?
No, that wasn't that.
Okay. Good. All right, we have action items now. Dr. Green?
So action item A is a donation. It is the recommendation that the Red Clay Board of Education approve a donation in the amount of $750 from Val Brown, the Skills Connection LLC, to the Office of Federal Programs to assist families who are in need during the holidays.
So moved, Jose Matthews.
Second English.
All in favor? Any
Aye.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Huge thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, and again, to Skills Connection LLC. And so there's also the recommendation that the Board of Education approve a donation from Good Child Towing LLC in the amount of $750 to the Federal Programs Department to assist families in need during the holiday season.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved, Jose Matthews.
Second?
Susan Sander.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Big thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
And I know we have Mr. Michael Simmons here, and I know our federal programs have been elves this past week and really putting those donations to good use as I've seen them wrapping gifts and supporting families. We know a whole segment of our community will have a joyous holiday as a result of these generous contributions, but also the work of our federal programs. And I'd be remiss not to also acknowledge the Red Clay Education Foundation and their generosity in ensuring that our McKinney-Vento students and families get additional resources, not only during the holiday season, but throughout the year. So again, thank you to the generosity of our community and also our federal programs for coordinating and supporting families in need. Action item C has been stricken, which moves us to action item D. It is a recommendation that the Red Clay Board of Education approve the major capital improvement schematic design plans for 3 schools, Joseph E. Johnson, William C. Lewis Dual Language Immersion, and Anna P. Moat Elementary as submitted.
So moved English.
Second, Jose Matthews.
Any discussion? All in
Huge
favor?
thank you. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Sorry. No, I mean, no. No nos. Motion passes.
And just a point of clarification, in the AIR report, as it related to redistricting, they had Red Clay listed at $173 million of deferred maintenance, just knowing that what you approved for 2 of our buildings actually reduced that cost, but that wasn't even included in that report. And so it inflated to look like we had more deferred maintenance. And again, thank you to the support of our community with the passing of that referendum. These schematics are actually what you're approving to actually deal with those major capital issues. So that report was inflated for Red Clay and didn't reflect those numbers. And so this actually now puts us to action item C, which would be the WLC. Bear with me because we had to move that. No, I'm good. And so this was the request in terms of putting this forward. It is in accordance with the contractual procedures outlined under section 10.10 of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Wilmington Learning Collaborative and the Red Clay Consolidated School District, which was made effective on November 1st, 2022. It is recommended that the Red Clay Board of Education submit a letter of intent to terminate the existing MOU effective July 1, 2026. Concurrent with this action, the board affirms it is committed to replacing the existing MOU in order to strengthen alignment, clarify expectations, and support improved outcomes for students being served in our identified WLC schools.
So moved, Jose Matthews.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second, Naj Malandis.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
President Leonard,
Yes,
point of privilege.
Ms. Matthews?
Thank you. Thank you all for bearing the weather tonight and coming out. We certainly appreciate all the engagement. So I want to start our discussion here with going back through a little bit of history since I have been on the board for quite some time, which we'll get into. But leading with, the reality that I have fought for the city voice. I will always fight for the city voice, and I will continue to fight for the city voice. My record and history on this board has certainly reflected that, and our board hasn't always looked like the way it looks now, which is a huge testament to the work that I have helped fight for and the voices that I wanted included at the table to be able to proceed and better our district. When I first started on the board, it certainly was a challenge. Dr. Bowman and I found ourselves initially very outnumbered and the influence, and now that influence has certainly made a shift and turn 8 years later after taking office, which is something that I do not take for granted and something that I greatly appreciate So I really thank, the support that this board has provided me throughout the years. So I wanted to start with that. But I also would like to open up this item by providing a little bit of context as to how all of this has come to be. We certainly have heard voices in the community that take issue with this, and to be quite frank and transparent, I concur. So we go back to the August 2025 meeting. It was Beth and Devin's second meeting, so they had just joined on the board. I had stated on the record that our WLC MOU was up, for renewal in December, and that this would be something that I would be putting on the table to pursue. I had made multiple mentions since that time, and I will excuse Mr. Hinson and Miss English for the last executive session, as they were not in attendance. So I don't want to hold them, or loop them into something that they weren't there. But there was discussion, because it was brought into executive session, with the request that this item be delegated and handled through a more appropriate channel. And to clarify, that not be myself. I wanted this to be something that was delegated and handled very differently. Things don't always go to plan. I've learned that over the years on the board, and it was not. I found out pretty late that the requests that had been made in the past, and really the on the record public dialogue that I presented had not gotten handled the way that I had wanted it to be. And for that, I certainly apologize for the way that this was handled. So being that we are where we are, I was left to address this in a way that I best knew how, and to do it pretty quickly, because our MOU in section 10.10 gives very specific dates on when, on when this has to be addressed in terms of timeline. So it certainly happened very quickly. And again, it didn't happen the way I would have hoped that this had happened. I certainly didn't want to be the messenger, but I certainly take responsibility for, really understanding that it happened the way it did, which was certainly not my directive, and, the way that, again, that I had explicitly stated I wanted this to be handled. So it shouldn't have gone down the way it did. And again, for that, I apologize. I also want to recognize, for those who are newer to participating in our meetings, although it may not look like it, but I am the most tenured member on our board, which is a huge new role for me. And I didn't necessarily really think about the responsibility and how my boardship and position would evolve, given that we had board members, especially when I started, who had such historical knowledge and had been here for such a long time. So really welcoming a lot of the new voices that we have at the table, and now really understanding that my position, has really evolved in a way where there are board members on this board that rely on me, and they should, absolutely, given that I have been on this board as long as I have. And it was certainly a much larger task that I may have underestimated. And there, I think lies an opportunity, for me to grow, understanding that role of tenureship. Again, being the board member who has served actively currently the longest on this board. So I wanted to open my statement with that, and also acknowledge the motion that's on the table that I don't believe has really made its way to the community and to our schools and to our educators, and to all of our stakeholders the way that we really wanted it to be. And it is the clear message and unwavering message that the WLC is not going away. this motion does not discontinue services at all. And we would never want the WLC to go away. It is something, again, that I fought tooth and nail for. Many of you who have been tuned in to our board meetings for quite some time may remember how hard I fought for this to happen, and how much I wanted for this to happen. And that has certainly not changed. I certainly see the value. I've supported leadership, and I whipped votes. And it was a very hard fight to be able to get this over the finish line. And it is certainly an accomplishment that I am proud to have had a contribution to. So since our last board planning, I've had, a really fast turnaround, a week, to be able to meet the deadline in the MOU. I've met with WLC, both on staff and leadership, and I had great conversations with both. Really looking at whether or not the current MOU makes sense for us. And it's dialogue and discussion that we as a board have had for quite some time. But there's a way to make sure that that message gets out so that we have greater community input, and a better way to handle, situations when they get to this level. This should have not waited, to the last hour to have happened. And so really, left scrambling to be able to make sure that we meet the deadline so that we can make right by our students in the city, and make right by our partners with the WLC, and make right by our board and the leadership, with the WLC. I've also had the opportunity to speak with Dr. Laura Burgos, who I have supported from the beginning, and we have continued to support. And we really want to make sure that leadership and the council is successful in the work that they do. And we want to make sure that they have an actual say in how this MOU needs to be structured. The MOU was structured at a very politically, tensious time. And a lot of what I fought for and what Dr. Bohm fought for, previous board member and previous vice president, did not make the final revision of the MOU. And we realized that we weren't going to get everything that we had wanted or what we needed, but we knew that approving the WLC would have been a step in the right direction. And so we stood behind it and really making sure that this work got done. So with all of that being said, leadership today has asked me to provide a bit of a community briefing on what this letter of intent means, along with the motion to replace the MOU, which I'll share when speaking with WLC leadership and staff, that they were incredibly excited about the opportunity to be able to create an MOU that's led by educators and led by the community and led by, all of our stakeholders and not from a political office. So
Not to cut you off, but I just want to make a comment before a motion is made. So you can go ahead and finish. Just keep that in mind, please.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And everyone's comments are certainly, everyone's welcome to chime in here. So, looking at this community briefing that was put together, there's a few bullets here, about, board responsibility and duty. And we certainly have a responsibility to make sure that our programs and our schools are set up for success. And looking at this MOU, it is not designed and put in a place to make sure that the WLC has the appropriate supports to be able to thrive and to be able to continue to do the work that they need to do. And it is certainly our responsibility to make sure that we review contracts and agreements and that we do that regularly. Number two, the fulfillment of Red Clay's 3-year commitment. So if we go back to the year-long discussion that we had prior to executing the WLC, which I believe I'm the only board member who was here for that process, we had always committed to making sure that we fulfilled the MOU for 3 years. And there was always this open understanding that we had shared and promised with the community that after 3 years, we could always go back and make tweaks, revisions, and take a look at the structure as we know it, to be able to revise it, to make sure that it's successful. And that's certainly, an opportunity that, we hope to provide, the WLC and leadership and all of our stakeholders with, in creating a document and an agreement that, again, sets up the appropriate supports for student success. Number 3 is the need for, parental, educator, and community engagement. Throughout the process that we had initially, it was pretty rushed. And that is something that I continue to hear from the community about a lot of decisions that are being made. And that is nothing new to how the MOU came to be. There was certainly a lot of pressure, given that Red Clay was in a position of having had a submitted MOU and also being provided, this new entity for approval, during that time. So there were definitely a lot of sentiments of take it or leave it during that time, which did not allow for the type of engagement that we had hoped for during the first MOU. And, my vision and, really, I think a shared vision from, a lot of the folks that I shared with, this is something that we could use this opportunity as a place to make sure that all of that input is captured. Number 4, academic improvement, which is always going to be our focus area, and making sure that kids are learning and making sure that they're thriving. And we want to make sure that a new MOU would be created to be able to make sure that takes place and make sure that we have all our provisions and parameters to be able to make that possible. And the last one, they had asked for 5, so I gave 5, was MOU, and I don't love the word violation, it really should read compliance. Based on the way that the current MOU is written, there are a lot of areas in our MOU, and really, I've heard from a lot of people, I think it's on both sides in terms of, WLC and our board and district meeting some of the expectations that are in the MOU that have not really allowed us to adhere to the document that we set place, which is vital because we as a board, we oversee the budget, we oversee funds, and we owe it to our community to do with the funds with what we say we're going to do with them. And that document has to be reflective of the work that we're doing. And currently, compliance is certainly something we want, all parties to be. And again, this would be another opportunity to make sure that is possible. So with that, thank you for your time and listening. And I look forward to hearing from the rest of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
President,
English?
Okay, thank you. So I may not have been around the table for the WLC when the original MOU was put in place. However, through my role with the Red Clay School Board, I am on the committee for the WLC, and I'm the vice chair of the WLC. And so in that, I just want to make sure that the rationale in this is that, responsible decision-making is prioritizing students' needs and avoids disruption, just because we know that there are a number of, there's flexible staffing that is allowed for over a dozen full-time roles, including teachers, paras, et cetera, to be funded through the WLC. So I just want to ensure that there's no disruption there at Johnson, Lewis, Shortridge, and then Talented and Gifted, et cetera. Also, our, what is it? Let's see here. WLC out of school time programming that we're currently working to put in place. So we just voted on a number of vendors that will be providing support to the community. I just want to ensure that given everything that's going on in the city of Wilmington, and I'm saying that specifically because I hold the city seat, that there's no disruption for the city students. I think that the WLC council would agree that there's an opportunity, as you stated, to reimagine the MOU, which is also why we have a council retreat coming up where we plan to do exactly that.
Yes.
I just hope that there's an opportunity for us to go in a positive direction and this does not cause any disruptions. Also, I know that there have been times where board members have been present at WLC meetings, and the WLC council always welcomes opportunities for people to attend and or have discussion around any questions, that's going on with the WLC. So I don't think that there's a lack of transparency there.
No, not at all.
So I mean, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to ensure that, with this direction that we're going in to develop this new contract or MOU, that there's not going to be a disruption in the services in the current what's currently being offered to our district by the WLC.
And I can certainly take that question and very well stated, and I certainly concur. And that is something, again, that I attempted to clarify, but I certainly will reference even the MOU that services would remain effective until July 1. So that's written directly in the MOU, even with undergoing this process in section 10.10. So our intention here is not to disrupt services and really solely to make sure that we're replacing this document that isn't operating the way we need it to be for the WLC to be fully supported and successful.
So with that motion, do we have a projection or an approximation as to when we plan to put another contract, if you, for lack of a better term, in place with the WLC?
So I had spoken to Dr. Burgos, and that's something that we would have to work together on. I mean, I have worked on a lot of contracts on this board, and I really would not foresee this taking, longer than May, because we want to make sure that, there's a month at least for the community to review. At our January meeting, WLC will be present. We'll be able to engage in a dialogue and making sure that we're collaborating together to have a swift turnaround with this. And
Okay.
Dr. Burgos certainly.
Can I
very
say something real quick? Can we, for clarity, understand this process? Because it is a multi-step process. If you could clarify that.
Absolutely.
What happens if this is approved tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can pull directly from the stipulation that the WLC council must be made aware of any such intent by December 31st of the prior year, which again is why, we are where we are today discussing this item. So then the next step would be a public meeting, which would happen at our next board meeting that would be held no later than January 31st.
And we also have to keep in mind that the WLC is not going to be able to commit to anything beyond June 30th because like summer planning and staffing, et cetera, is taking place now.
That's one of my concerns as well.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up. I have a deep respect and admiration for the work that the WLC has been doing. I have not been part of the organization of the WLC as well. I'm rather new to the board. However, I've made it a choice to attend most every one of the WLC meetings that I possibly could, largely because I do believe in the work that they're doing. I really don't support anything that would put any of the program projections in jeopardy.
Absolutely not.
I know they need to continue on this path, continue on their momentum. And I just want to state for the record that I believe that whatever happens, we have to go forward with the support for the WLC.
Absolutely.
And
And
I
I just
think-
want to also clarify the motion on the table. And once, if the motion passes, we are abided to follow that board approval and that board directive. And the motion has the caveat that this document isn't going away, this agreement, this partnership isn't going away, but merely replaced through the process that unfortunately we have to follow per the MOU. And if there's another way to get the desired, outcome, certainly open to that.
May I ask a question just while we're having the
Sure.
dialogue on the deadlines? If I'm not mistaken, this will renew within 1 year. The MOU will renew within 1 year.
Annually,
So
it renews
I
annually.
hear from the public, like as we've heard tonight,
Right.
slow down, slow down, slow down, let's
Right.
think this out. So if we do not do anything by December 31st, if we take no action, can I assume that
That we're
we will have a
binded.
year of planning to get a new MOU in place, perhaps get it right and not miss any deadlines?
Here's my only challenge, because yes, we're saying that our intent is to renew, but they're saying that they can't program forward without that express commitment from us that we are not going to promote the renewal, right? So I hear what our intent is. We don't want to, but what I don't want to happen is then that disrupts services for kids in the interim, because they have to make decisions based on what's, expressed, but not what our intent is. You understand what I'm saying? That's my only challenge. Like, if we could talk to them and they would say, okay, well, we'll continue to pay our bills. We'll continue to work with our vendors because we believe that you have this intent and we're going to move forward, then I would be okay with it. The
Right.
challenge is that they've already stated they're not okay with that. Like so.
Well, that's not what I've heard. I mean, I've
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
I mean,
so
and I apologize if that wasn't clear, because I
Okay.
have engaged with, leadership and staff of the WLC, that is this proposed route is certainly an opportunity, and,
Okay.
there was no shared concern, from either of the two meetings that I held.
Long as they're going to, so you're saying the commitment is that they're going to continue, they're going to leave the teachers in the schools? Because because.
Well, I think that, not to cut you
And
off, Ms.
it's
Anderson,
factual.
but I think that's contingent upon what is agreed upon, right? Because the terms of the new MOU would have to be agreed upon in order to be able to determine that, right? And then also in order for services to not be disrupted, because the WLC is currently planning, that can't go past June.
Can I just and again, I've been on record saying, and you can go back, that we need to address aspects of the MOU. And so I'll just, I mean, the fact that and I say we because we have worked diligently to try to integrate the WLC into Red Clay as best we can, understanding that there are barriers, so much so that we are now the host district or the host site for WLC council meetings. But if you look at stipulation 9.1, which are other important educational components, right? And so that talks about high school configuration for city students. Like, that's just an inherent flaw in how the WLC was established. And those are quick things that we can address within the context of the WLC. And I would just, again, not to sway a vote, but serving on the council, we've already had those conversations about aspects of the MOU. The council is going through some strategic planning, and one of the foundational things that needs to happen for a new strategic plan to, I think, address the issues that Mr. Matthews has highlighted is to address components of the MOU. Because the WLC themselves feels strapped to a certain degree and being able to fully live out their ability to support our schools. But we've been integrated in terms of they just got a full staff. When you really think about a full complement of staff, we've had council turnover. So it hasn't been ideal. And I think from my perspective, I think we can get to the same endpoint because there is a desire from the WLC and working with them, and working with our schools, working with our building principals, working with Dr. Burgos and fellow council members. And we also got to be mindful that while we're having this conversation for Red Clay, the initial MOU also had 2 other districts and 5 other schools that form the WLC. So if it is the board's desire, I would again ask, not that I want to take on anymore, but as they say, I guess the proverbial buck stops with me, to work closely with the WLC, because it shouldn't be, I mean, to allow the extension of the year to just roll over because it is a year, but within the given point of the next year, given that Reading has made a decision last night, given that there's a lot of things looming, understanding that there are a lot of services that are currently being provided to students, that if we weren't successfully to have a MOU, because the board would have to vote by March, according to the current MOU.
Right.
So looking at that timeline, now we're saying you would have to have a complete MOU by March based on what you would submit here. And if that timeline isn't aligned with some of the other things that the WLC is doing through strategic planning, so that I would just ask that you allow for the year extension with the goal and purpose that if you don't, or if we don't have a clarified MOU, at least there's enough runway or time for our schools, for respective staff, for families, for community to know that in essence, we all failed, right? Because it is the collective WLC, the collaborative, and maybe let us collaborate. But I think that the board is having this healthy discussion about the MOU and driving that, I think actually would be welcomed by the council. Having lived in that space for the past couple of years and seeing, you know, on both sides, right? Their inability to kind of maybe move some things and advance some things, and our ability to take on the full support. So again, if you don't sign the letter of intent to terminate, you're just really giving a 1-year extension, and that year could be the time frame that you work to draft the MOU.
And frankly, I'd like to bring the WLC into the discussion of what we consider non-compliance issues. I'd like to hear from them too before we actually make
I
any
agree with Ms.
decisions.
Sanders.
Yeah, well, that was my main concern with the MOU, the communication part. And if we could guarantee that at least on a quarterly basis, have them come in and tell us what the progress is, I think I'd be happy with that.
So, and again, I think just highlighting it, you know, there's a dispute resolution in the MOU, which is section 10.8, right? That states should disputes arise between the district and the WLC, the parties commit to working together in good faith to resolve these. If disputes cannot be resolved, the Secretary of Education will serve as the arbiter of disputes, except where state law or regulation sets forth a different process with respect to employment matters. And the only reason why I highlight that is we have a new Secretary of Ed, and this was endorsed or signed by the previous Secretary of Ed. So that's another reason why, again, we need to have the conversation around just the structure of the MOU. And so I think, again, as just advising the board, I think the board's intent is clear that we need to bring forth the new draft, replace the MOU as from the way it's currently written, give the 1-year extension that would just typically roll over and allow that process, rather than, again, have a compressed timeline that we're looking at bringing this board something back by March. That may not be any fault of the district or the WLC, but just because you don't have a document, now we're stuck in a timeline where that gets terminated, and now schools are unfortunately being indirectly impacted by decisions that, to Mr. Matthews' point, initiated at a governmental political level for the initial inception of it, of no fault of our children, staff members, or community zone. And I know that there is, through our ELTs and working with teacher leaders, like there have been a number of areas and things where they've even voiced, you know, concerns. So I think having them at that table around what that impact looked like from a teacher leadership standpoint would also be beneficial, and we may need that extended runway to be able to do it. So
am I hearing this correctly that WLC leadership wants to do a do-over with the MOU also?
Absolutely.
Well, that would be, and then also Ajay was sharing about the retreat coming up in February,
Yes.
where they were already planning to
discussed
make
it.
some
Yeah,
adjustments with
exactly.
MOUs,
And,
correct?
and yes, and as Dr. Green stated, there's also a strategic plan that's rolling out in 2026 for the WOC. But in order to align that and make sure that the WOC continues to be successful, we also have to reimagine the MOU as well, which would require an extension for us to continue to do those things and make those changes.
Do we want to make an amendment to the
Sure.
motion?
I will make an amendment, but I just wanted to also add I really want to thank the board for everyone weighing in, which I greatly appreciate. My style is definitely very stuck to timelines and making sure that we get, the things that, we really want to accomplish. And this is certainly, again, an opportunity for me to grow. There's definitely a lot of hiccups along the way, from that August meeting to now. And, there's a lot of work, to be done ahead. And again, to what was stated before, I really want the whole intention of this whole idea. That way I'm clear with the board of what I'm envisioning and what I think the community has really envisioned is a document that really works for them. And not a document that is convenient for us. Because this entire MOU that I fought for, the intention of it was to amplify and provide more of a city voice in the education that they're receiving. And my intention throughout all of this was to make sure that they get the pen, they get, the opportunity to create what they originally envisioned, because what the community and folks were asking for didn't ultimately happen in this final version.
Right.
And after hearing everyone's comments tonight, I will certainly pull the item, and withdraw my motion, allow for the renewal process to happen, with the expectation that we provide, again, the opportunity that I intended to create of allowing the WLC, the community, the stakeholders to be able to create and replace this document that, quite frankly, I think we all agree isn't working and isn't, what we had envisioned. So I will withdraw my motion, and I look forward to hearing more about the work ahead and about the year ahead. And I will be honest and say, I can get a little overly ambitious, and I'm like, we can do this overnight, but
Can I just add I want to thank you very much for your stewardship over this.
sure.
I think without your diligence,
Right.
I don't think we would be in the position to understand what is the original intent and
Right.
how we're all failing at that. So thank you very much for your stewardship.
Thank
I appreciate it. And I think as a board, we appreciate it.
And Dr. Green and I will check in with the rest of WLC Council so that we can align our efforts so that we don't end up having the same discussion again.
Yeah, and as I told Dr. Burgos, in our call, I want them to have carte blanche. This is not something, which is why I wanted to, again, replace this entire document. And so I guess, what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, my intention will still happen, but just not in the Jose timeline.
Right.
Correct. Would you like to make a motion to?
I made a motion to withdraw.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, English.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And just
Motion
last
passes.
point, the next WLC meeting is actually January 7th. I apologize. My presentation had it at the 26th. It's actually January 7th.
And I wanted to say that, Jose, you're not the only person, right? Like, I think that I'm partially culpable too, because I'm not as knowledgeable as I think I should be, right? And in addition to that, like, the rest of the board is, the vice president is sitting at the end of the table. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't, you understand? Like, we should all be involved and be diligent. about understanding what the WLC is doing for the kids in our classroom. So it's not just on you, it's on all of us.
That is correct. Good point.
Agreed.
All right, two consent action items. Does anything need to be removed from the consent action items? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Jose Matthews.
Second, Najma Landis.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda, consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Go to the school board committee reports. First one is Board Policy Review Committee. I do not have a written report on that, but I just say that we spent close to 2 hours at that meeting talking about the transportation policy. Lots of good comments there. People did the research. I'm very grateful for the research that was done on that. And now we'll be coming back to the Policy Review Committee at 5003. So I will have a written report by the end of next week. Citizens Budget Oversight Committee.
I'd be happy to submit that report. The Citizens Budget Oversight Committee was officially recognized, our first meeting under that new name, CBOC, if you will. Part of our old business was going over the tax reassessment update. The property tax deadline for everyone who has been following your taxes has been extended to December 31st. There are no changes in our tax revenue at this time, largely because that tax deadline has been pushed back. So our revenue is now approximately 38% of what it was expected to be at this point in time. Just for everybody's knowledge, there are hearings and hearings have been scheduled. There are about 182 owners who have scheduled a hearing. So we will know more probably about our revenue in tax receipt should be coming in by January. So we'll have a better picture of the revenue in February. We went over the McCain Innovation Center. Mark Pruitt was kind enough to present the slide presentation again, and it was wonderful. There were a lot of questions, a lot of answered questions. It was an excellent, excellent presentation. Our monthly expenditures report. The district is on target with our payroll and expenditures. So thank you to everybody who participated, and it was a wonderful meeting.
I have a point of information. With the change of the name to CBOC, I know that there's several policies that still reference CRFC. Do we actually have to make board policy revisions for those changes to occur in all those policies? Or is there, like with the action made to change the name, can we just go into those policies and have that new acronym?
Yes, we can shift the name. I mean, it's the same construct. You're not changing contents of the policy. You're just going from CFRC to CBOC. So we will make sure that those changes get made.
Thank you. Facilities Committee.
Well, hello, that's me again. Hello. The Facilities Committee met on the 17th, is that December 8th? I'm sorry, December 8th. ESCO updates. We reviewed the progress in several of the renovation efforts, and we're almost completed with all of that. The solar upgrade installations are now complete. The high priority items have been completed, and some of the remaining tasks have been graded as lower priority. Some of the auditorium lights are still an issue. They are not compatible with the new LED fixtures, so that will undergo some modernization in the next capital update. And this is exciting. Everybody can get excited about this.
Okay.
All 6 of our district solar systems are installed and active. Here's the fun part.
We have 6 solar systems.
Solar panel.
Oh.
Panels.
She missed a word. Solar panel.
That's when you know the meeting is getting a little too long.
We have new solar systems.
I'm trying to speed read and my brain is still not.
That's wonderful news, though.
Updated savings. As of from July 9th to September 4th, over $34,000 was saved across our schools. September 4th to November 30th, $45,000, almost $46,000 was saved district-wide. So thank you for our maintenance facility, department for ensuring that all of that has been happening. Major capital updates, schedules and architectural estimates were reviewed for the first round. Budgets and timelines are being very closely monitored to ensure that they can be started within the summer construction window. We're starting to get the summer project spreadsheets, and there were a lot of really good information on our capital project shared. Indoor air quality, just want to go over this one. Indoor air quality testing from a previous complaint from one of our families has been completed, and the follow-up revealed that there were no issues. So rest assured, our locker rooms air quality is safe. Other than that, it was just a great meeting, and I believe we're still looking for one more member of the community to join the committee. So these meetings are public. They're either in person or you can Zoom them. And please, if you're interested in our wonderful facilities department, please consider becoming a community member.
Well, thank you, Ms. Saunders. I just want to say real quick, as a former environmental science teacher, that I'm very happy with the solar arrays that we're putting in, because the regulations may not be there, or environmental regulations are disappearing. So I think it's great timing, and thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, Red Clay Education Foundation.
Foundation met on the 9th. Ms. April Anderson gave a proposal and a breakdown just to the RCEF with regards to the, again, the funding that they provide to McKinney-Vento families, showed where that money extends and expands beyond the limited or restricted funding that we are able to use through the federal dollars. Everything from supporting students, families, utility bills, student, costs. So she broke that down for the foundation just to show the foundation where their, again, generous dollars are going to support McKinney-Vento families. And just some additional conversations around some planning for the council going into the new year. There was also a presentation from the foundation's financial advisor, just giving them an update on where the foundation can, in essence, either better secure or where their money is, and obviously how they can maybe invest. And that was kind of the general oversight of the meeting.
Thank you. And Wilmington Learning CoLab.
Yes, so I did not get an opportunity to upload my report, but I'm going to I'll make sure I get it submitted, and then I'll give a brief update. So the WLC met on December 3rd at the Red Clay District Office, where we conducted both an executive session and a public session. The council voted to approve the list of vendors that were selected for the out-of-school time programming that will be offered in 2026, which we are currently, finalizing the plans for that. And excuse me if I miss one of the services that'll be offered on this list, but I do know that it'll be tutoring, before and after care. There will be transportation provided for those students whose parents are at work and can't get their children to and from. And then there'll be spring break and summer break learning opportunities. Let's see. As I stated, that we are currently working on the strategic plan with one of our partners. We made an adjustment to the plan with one of the partners because they're currently conducting a SWOT analysis. And the adjustment that we made was so that the partner interviews and also works with the leadership per the superintendents on the council in the WLC schools to help provide information so that they could come up with a finalized SWOT analysis to be able to utilize for that strategic plan. We got updates and future implementation plans from the new director of professional learning. So we're excited to hear more about that. We have a financial report coming from the new CFO that we are looking forward to seeing in the new year. And then one of the final things that I feel like we did was to approve a new evaluation tool for the current executive director. And as Dr. Green stated, the next WLC meeting is January 7th, and I encourage all of you to attend.
And
But-
Ms. English, the only other part of that SWOT analysis was to ensure that families also participated. in it.
Yes.
We were making sure that, again, that our community councils had an opportunity to weigh into that information on WLC.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
Mm.
Items submitted by the board, A and B, already been discussed or eliminated from the agenda. I'd like to ask Dr. Greenie if he would give us an update from the Reading from last night, the vote that took place. Dr. Cohen?
So Reading Consortium for Educational Equity held their meeting last evening at the Delaware Tech campus located in Wilmington. Senator Lockman and Mr. Den, who are the co-chairs, gave a welcome. Governor Myers was in attendance and kind of weighed in to a degree in terms of where he was leaning and encouraged people to think bold in terms of the vote and what's possible. There was a financial data overview from Dr. Drew Atkins, which was the report that was publicly released from the American Institutes of Research, just highlighting some of the information that was both given by districts as well as the Comptroller General's office doing a financial analysis. Again, I think there was some areas that could have been better clarified. Again, I highlighted the deferred maintenance, which again, I think was sticker shock to a lot of people without having the caveat of understanding that's actually being taken care of for the passage of our referendum with some of those capital funding needs that we have in our district. The conversation extended around the consortium members who were present to kind of give a thought or feeling around what of the three options, which were the Newcastle County Combined School District, the Metropolitan School District, which would have been a combination of Red Clay, Brandywine, and the city of Wilmington, condensing into one, or the River Plan, which was in essence dividing the city between Red Clay, Brandywine, removing Colonial and Christina, which then would have meant that Red Clay would have took pretty much the majority of the city, which would have been the Christina portion of the city. Brandywine would have taken Colonial's portion, which right now is only about 294 so children, of which only 43% of those children actually attend the Colonial school. And we would have assumed the couple thousand Christina portion of the city. And so we had to kind of go through, do a pulse check of where individual consortium members were leaning. There was public comment. A lot of that public comment centered around the prior meetings that were held at board meetings, that were held on behalf of the boards. There was a lot of discussion around the community meeting that took place in Brandywine School District. There was an unfortunate incident with a Zoom bomber that came into that meeting and lodged some racial epithets that really caused the consortium to have to recenter itself and galvanize around the importance of this work. While we feel we are unfortunately far removed from that point in time, it's still ever present, and especially when we're talking about, what's happening in underrepresented, marginalized, low-income communities. So we went through that process. Representative Jaquocha, so there was some deliberation again around the three options. Representative Jaquocha gave some redistricting remarks, and then the commission consortium members were called to vote. Being a consortium member, I won't go through, but I looked at a detailed analysis around being a child-centered approach. And I think we're taking a governance structure approach. And that's a very different lens to look at it from a child-centered versus a governance. But there is a desire, I think, to minimize the number of districts in terms of what families have to navigate. And so it ultimately ended up being the Newcastle County Newcastle County Combined School District option is the one that will now move forward to have to be planned against the 13 stipulations. And again, I don't think there is an ideal situation, but that's the vote, and we will continue to engage and move forward with the next phase, which then requires the consortium to put together a plan to address the 13 stipulations that are written in Delaware Code. That plan then goes before the State Board of Education, who would have to vote to approve that plan. And then ultimately, it will make its way down to the General Assembly. It's not etched in stone that that is where the consortium will go. In essence, if through this analysis, they find that there are other things that would need to be addressed or not effective, there are other options that then can come back on the table. So
I have a quick question. Where do the VOTEX and the charters, are they part of this whole Newcastle County plan?
currently, it just resides, it really just looks at the 4 districts, but I think going through the stipulations, that's something that needs to be obviously put into consideration. Again, when you look at the city of Wilmington in general, the majority of the children, especially elementary age school children who reside in the city of Wilmington, proportionally are in charter schools relative to our district. So, you got to look at it in the collective. Again, I think we are a microcosm of the very thing that the state is looking to do when we talk about the impact of choice and charter in our district and what that does to enrollment. So we'll see where the conversation goes as it relates to addressing those 13 stipulations.
Any other questions? Thank you for that update, Dr. Green. Appreciate it. Okay, we have some information items that you can look at. It's on our board docs. And it brings us,
President Leonard, can I make one quick shout out really quick?
yes.
So last Friday, I had the pleasure of speaking at Dickinson High School. So I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Black and all the students there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 3/4 zip trend that's all over social media. So the guys at the school came up with this trend, and then Dr. Black called in someone to be a guest speaker for them. So she wanted to do something for the girls. So she called me in, and I was like, you sure you want me to talk to them? But it was such a pleasure. Also, Dr. Black used to be my English teacher in high school. So of course, I was happy to show up. And they also had a research exhibit on knowledge that I thought was like commendable. So I also said that maybe like the Soapbox Project might be great for an initiative like that. Maybe not that particular platform, but something just for like more of the community to be able to hear about these research projects they were working on, because I would liken them to like a dissertation or, just in arguing your point as a master in a master's program. So yeah, just shout out to Dr. Black and all the students at Dickinson High School.
Plus, you're both AI grads, so it probably has something to do with it.
Mr. President, are we able to bundle the rest of those items up?
They are.
They are bundled.
Yeah, you're good.
Do you have a comment on any of them?
You need a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved, Jose Matthews.
second,
English.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Happy
Approved.
holidays.
Thank you all for that
Thank you.
marathon.